Well, despite the slightly disappointing but probably inevitable news regarding FM25 a couple of days ago, the plan here does not change. We are back today to do our final bookmark of this coach's head save, and we're going to do a few things during this episode. We're going to have a look at the footballing world 10 or 11 seasons in, see how it compares to the alternate universe where we had a very different 5 years in the second half of this first 10 over in the head coach. And then we're going to go and flip that by having a look at that save and seeing how the clubs we ended up managing in this one went and got on in our original database. This is going to be pretty interesting and a good finale to the coach's head and director of football challenges from FM24. Yes, hello and welcome along to the final bookmark from the coach's head with me, Daniel. We're going to have a look back at this second 5 years in this save. We're going to see what happened with Willem 2 and all of our other former clubs along the way. And then we're going to go back to the head coach universe where we were at the same point 5 years in Japan, but we split off and did something different there. We're just going to see how they compare, vice versa, the clubs we managed in that save in this one and then the clubs we've managed here in that database. If you're looking forward to seeing how well we performed compared to the AI manager, then please do put a thumbs up on it. Of course, we ended with disappointment at Sporting Lisbon, disappointment in missing out on the league title and the League Cup, but ultimately we did a very good job there. But for now, we've got to go and have a look at the footballing world and our previous clubs, and we'll start with the teams that we've been managing before, so hopefully you're looking forward to it. Here is our history, and if we go and have a look at our job history, I will look at the Japanese clubs as well, because although that bit was the same for both databases, you can still then go back to the other video and compare how those sides got on after we left if you want to. So we start with FC Gifu, where it was all obviously lovely. That was the club that we had the greatest time at the start of FM24. Hiroki Izumi, legendary director of football, but Gifu unfortunately have fallen back to the middle of the second tier, and there will not be many familiar names in there, will there? I can't imagine any of the boys we had at the start are still about at that club, and I don't immediately see any. The second club was Yokohama FC, where we weren't there for that long, in fairness. They've got a few very good players, but again, not many we know. Although, to be fair, Ryo Toyoda, I'm pretty sure he was there. Let me go back and have a look. He was at Kashima, so we had him at a different club. I know I remembered managing him. But yes, he is a player that we've managed before. Kashima Antlers was our third club. Their captain is still Ryotaro Araki, 32 now. He was a proper player, but just over the hill physically. They're second in the J1 League. They're still competing at the top. Of course, our best achievement there, getting to an Asian Champions League final, albeit beaten by a massive Saudi club. So you can compare in the head coach final bookmark how those clubs got on after our management stints. But let's have a look now at the ones we've managed in this save, the coach's head. We start with Willem 2, which, despite being the only one we didn't win anything, was probably my most enjoyable stint. Yes, we had to deal with the negative transfer model that's completely broken in FM24 that doesn't carry over from season to season. But we had some cracking young players through that academy. They were so enjoyable to manage. And while they've got a Czech manager now who is not quite as good as we were, I would say, they're still up in the top six. They're doing okay. They're certainly not falling apart. But they have missed out on Europe this year. How have they done any other years since we've been gone? So we were there as they finished third, and seventh the year before that. Then they finished fifth, fourth, and now sixth. So they're falling away just a little bit. But then that only potentially takes, PSV to get better and recover back towards the top, which they have. And they're in the battle for fourth with Utrecht and Vitesse, which isn't bad. They haven't fallen away too much. A lot of the players we had, it's only 3 or 4 years ago, isn't it, are still there. We know Indio, we know Jamaid. Kwok Yuhin I saw was one of the captains. Badr Al-Khatani still going. And John Conte down there. One man that isn't, though, by the looks of it, is the big right back Torbed. Where has he gone? I don't think Van der Putter's there either. How much did they sell all the big boys for? So this year, they finally sold Dokic this season. He's been about a while. He finally went. It was linked with going every window. I think the director of football accepted offers for him twice. Tobias Beck left on a free last summer. Saida Delhi, so many great names. We should have stayed there, shouldn't we? We should have stayed at Willem too. Lachkar left last year. Timmer left, as did Torbed. 21.5 million to Bayer Leverkusen. Oh, he's not become quite as good as I'd hoped, and he's gone and sat there to be a sort of squad player. I'm a bit disappointed by that, because he was a proper gem, but at least him and Pedro Mendes now from this sporting stint, they'll be reunited in the Bundesliga. Two top players. What happened with Van der Putter? Did he go before? He did. He went to Genk in Belgium. Again, he's only a squad player. Oh no, he's gone to Palermo since, so he's in Serie A. He looks like he's declined. Am I just imagining him to be better than he was before? I can't remember how bad he was then. I feel like he was better than that. Injuries? 7 months in 2030. Oh, okay, yeah, he had a pretty bad one. And that's probably cost him his career, hasn't it, at the top level? What a shame, because he was a proper gem as well. But overall, I loved this stint. So many of the players were fantastic. And it's good to see that they haven't just completely wilted afterwards. And you see this summer, they spent 37 million. Yes, they sold loads, but they're spending the money they bring in, which was not always happening when we were in charge. The director of football was excellent when we were there. Is it still the same one? It is. Jan Andre Adix was the one who was there for our last season, and he is superb at his job. So great to see Willem 2 still doing well. We'll have a look later to see how they went in a head coach by comparison. We left Copenhagen 2 years ago. No way have they finished 5th. What's happened to Copenhagen? We blitzed that league. It was so easy only 2 seasons ago. Where did they finish the year before? They didn't win it the year after either. Brøndby won it. How have they made such a pig's ear of it? I don't understand what's gone wrong there, because it was easy. Let's look at the year we won it. We won it by 10 points. We won it comfortably. And that was despite the fact they kept selling our best players in January. They then lost it in second place by 6 points. 6 points the year after, sorry. Very low scoring year in terms of points. You consider there, Midtjylland was second the year we won it with 65. Brøndby won it with 59 the year after. And then last year, Odense won it with 62. Where have they come from? And Copenhagen managed 45 points, 15 draws and only 10 wins out of 32. That is a paltry effort. Really, really poor that. Let's get back to my manager screen. Dinamo Zagreb. We won it there last year. They've fallen apart as well. How have they made such a pig's ear of it? It really does ask a lot of the AI, because Dinamo can't have fallen away that much. They've signed Somerville since we left. I know he's 32 now, but he's a good player. I mean, they must have had one hell of a bad summer. Not really. Sold 11 million quid's worth of talent, which was Medina the right winger, a backup in Samardzic, and a couple of other squad players. They didn't lose many stars. They've brought in a bit of experience. Dewsbury Hall was an old boy. Carlos is a very good midfielder. And then they spent the rest of their money on a decent centre-half and a very solid right-back. How have they gone so wrong? I don't get that. I genuinely don't get how they've fallen away in that manner. That is a baffling season for Dinamo Zagreb. I have no idea how both of those have fallen away so much. And maybe shows that we weren't ever going to be long-term managers there, and maybe that we did a better job than we thought. We just went, oh yeah, we've gone to these leagues, they'll be a bit easy, we'll win them, but maybe we did a better job than we thought. Maybe I need to give myself a bit of credit there. With that out the way though, and a weird look at our former clubs going in different directions to what I presumed, let's go and have a quick look at the English and Scottish pyramids, because of course in the head coach, the original database, we turned down Willem 2 to go to Bournemouth, and we had a little bit of success there. So let's see how comparatively they've got on in this one when we never made that trip back to English football and home. Let's start with the Premier League and work our way down. Well, Bournemouth are still in the Premier League. They're in 13th place. Ruud van Nistelrooy is manager. And to be fair, league-wise, they've done very similar to what they did under us. 8th, 9th, 10th, that's the region we were fighting in. The only difference, I would imagine, yeah, they've not quite won the other trophies that we won. We managed to get a couple of cups on the board, which was great. So a good effort from them. They're still doing okay. Loads of the familiar names. Zabani, Josh Doig, Leonardo. We remember them all. Karnaseki, the goalkeeper. Max Aaron still going at 34. Struggling again with the AI to move on that squad. And Ollie Byrne, did he ever make it in this save? No, he failed to make it in that one as well. So it wasn't just me who couldn't get the best out of him. Very normal look to the top end of the Premier League. Don't know what it is this year with Sheffield United. We saw it in the South End save, didn't we? Won the Europa League, got into the top half regulars in Europe across the save. They seem to have done it here as well. There's just something inbuilt with Sheffield United. To be fair, in real life, Chris Wilder looks like bringing them back up again, doesn't he? So maybe they're not too far off the mark there. No massive shocks, no teams below the Championship at the start of the game, playing in the Premier League in that one. Let's go down to the Championship. I just noticed, by the way, Arsenal won 4 titles in a row prior to Chelsea there, and they needed 97 points this season. Arsenal dropped off to 68. Don't understand it. Let's go to the Championship. Sunderland beat Leicester in the final. Southampton and West Brom up. No massive surprises there. Luton haven't fallen quite as far in this one. Leeds, Leicester, Fulham, Sheffield United. Oh, so Sheffield United were only in the Championship 4 years ago. So again, a very interesting save for them. They're not finished, to be fair. They're not finished above 14th in the Premier League in this save until this season. Where has that 6th place come from? Just a bit of clever investment in younger players, I guess. It seems to have worked an absolute treat. Going down there, Wrexham were in the Championship as a Chesterfield, but again, no one's really miles out of place. No more than 2 divisions either way. Normally the bigger shocks are near the bottom end, aren't they? Is that Stutter up front for West Brom? Does anyone remember this guy, Ronnie Stutter? Those who have been long-term viewers of the channel, FM24 with Hemel Hempstead. He was a superstar. Lovely to see him doing well in FM. Let's go down to League One, where Plymouth have won the playoffs. Wimbledon up to the Championship. QPR coming back up. Down at the bottom, Southend United up to League One, but getting relegated again, only by a point. Preston flirting with it at the bottom end there as well. No sides that seem to have gone up loads of divisions, though. So again, no massive shocks, just a few slight surprises. Crewe beat Aldershot in the League 2 final. They're doing well to establish themselves at the top of League 2. Going further down, Doncaster dropping out the EFL, but again, it's only 1 division. Northampton close. I mean, to be fair, by FM24 standards, 22nd in League 2 is a pretty good effort from them. They did spend a few years in non-league, but there's been a bit of a recovery here. I mean, they survived by 1 position the first 2 years back up, then got in the top half, and now it's back to 22nd. So a little bit all over the place, but still a little bit of a fall from grace regardless. Torquay are back up in the EFL. They've come up 2 divisions and established. Boreham Wood obviously relegated to the National League South in real life last season. Here they're up in League 2 and looking competent. Our FM23 side Woking up at the top end of League 2, but again, nothing absolutely devastating to anyone. Gillingham are in the National League, but they're coming back up. Scunthorpe at the top end there, Morecambe. Again, it's only 1 or 2 divisions for everyone, isn't it? Billericay are up in 12th in the National League. That's a good effort. And there might be our surprise one. Wickham, 19th in the National League. Port Vale are mid-table there as well, but Wickham near the bottom end of the National League. That's maybe the first slight surprise you'll see there. The Oval getting relegated again, but nothing major. Let's go and have a look in the North and the South. Bury coming up to the National League. Nice to see them on the way back up the pyramids. And I don't think for the first time in these reviews this year, in these bookmarks, Cheltenham Town have had a bit of a fall from grace. They've dropped down to the National League North. I'm pretty sure either in the original head coach or in the Southend save, they had a similar decline. So, yeah, in the original head coach, to be fair, they would have been down in the National League already by the start of season 6. But since then, it's gone really wrong for them. 3 seasons battling in the playoffs. Then just 2 where it's fallen apart. They've gone semi-pro. I'm guessing maybe they ran out of money. But not a good look for them. They finished 3rd and stay down. And then in the South, how does that compare? Any big names there? Worthing beats St Albans, Dartford. It's normally more shocks in the North than South. And I think it is that way again. I don't see anything particularly stand out there. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Let's go through to the cup competitions just to see who's winning it. If it wasn't Bournemouth, as it was in the head coach. All the big guns in the FA Cup. City with 3. United and Chelsea 1 apiece. The Carabao. Arsenal seem to be doing a lot of league and Carabao doubles there. They beat Newcastle on penalties. Liverpool winning the other 2. Community Shield doesn't matter. EFL Trophy. We've got another under-21 winner. Leeds and Brighton in the last 6 years. My club Luton Town getting 1 as well. And then down to the FA Trophy. Billericay won 1 there as well. So really good effort from them to get up to top half of the National League and win an FA Trophy. That's certainly a suggestion of strength. Hereford getting a big day at Wembley too. There's a few nice stories in that one, isn't there? Let's go and have a quick look at Scotland as well. We've got to do it. where it's very much a one-sided league now because Celtic are running away with it again. That is now 6 titles in a row. Rangers 26 points off. Hibs and Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock seem to be doing well in this year's FM. They're one of the best of the rest in my Twitch save with Aberdeen, aren't they? Speaking of Aberdeen, they're in 6th. Got Ross County, Queen's Park established in the top tier, as are Dunfermline. That means in the Championship, going to have a couple of the regulars from the SPL. St Mirren, St Johnstone have just come back up. Livingston there as well. Nothing massively surprising other than that. League One, what have we got? Partick Thistle going back up. Raith Rovers never replicated that FM21 form from the Bangor save, did they? Let's go down to League Two. Greenock Morton struggling in League One as well. And in League Two, East Kilbride have just won League Two. They're coming up to the 3rd tier. Cowdenbeath as well. So 2 sides that started outside the playable leagues are now going to be in the 3rd tier. That's a nice little story. It seems based on the fact there's a lot of original photos and greyed out faces that there's quite a lot of older boys in this league still as well. So really interesting to see that. Stirling Albion did get one as well, just for Macca, one of our regulars. So that's Scottish football. Let's have a look at the cup as well. That's been spread out a bit more actually. Celtic have won more than anyone, but a lot of the smaller sides or the non-old firm sides have managed to get one. Dundee winning it this year. Did they stay up in the end? They did. Thought they might have got relegated for a minute. Then down to the League Cup. Celtic again have won most of them. Beat Rangers on penalties this year. That would have gone down well. My favourite competition, the SPFL. That is properly spread around. 1 each for the Alta Firms B teams, but otherwise spread across loads of the other familiar names. And then very quickly, we'll go and do the European and UEFA competitions as well and just see how they compare. Would help if I could spend UEFA today, couldn't it? So let's start with the Champions League, where Monaco are the holders. Very interesting. Of course, we came up against them in the original head coach, didn't we? Because we left Bournemouth for Marseille. And Monaco were one of the sides battling for sort of 2nd, 3rd and 4th with us here. They only finished 3rd in the French league. Still nowhere near PSG. Still in that battle with Marseille. It's no different to that save. But if somehow managed to win a Champions League there, which is a pretty incredible effort. Who's the manager who's done a runner as well? Ange Postecoglou wins the Champions League and leaves. He won the Ligue 1 title last year, so he has managed to knock PSG off their perch a bit. Only one English winner. Manchester City 2 years ago. Otherwise, PSG, Monaco, Inter, Bayern, Barca. PSG have been a dominant force here. Very interesting to see that. Let's go to the Europa League. No English winners at all. Not since the first season with Liverpool. We've got domination from Spain, Germany and Italy. Couple for Leipzig, Girona, Roma, Napoli, Borussia Dortmund, Juventus. Dortmund beat Liverpool in the final this year. Who won the final? Who played Monaco in the final? It was Inter again in the Champions League. And what about the Europa Conference, where it is Fenerbahce, who beat Rennes in the final. Porto won it last year. Hamburg, Inter. I mean, that was the one trophy in the first few years that was dominated by the English sides. But in the last 5, only Brighton have stopped others winning it. Inter have won a Conference League and then played in 2 Champions League finals. Julian Nagelsmann doing something right there with Shea Charles as a vice captain as well. That is an incredible effort. So let's very quickly have a look at the World Cup and the international competitions. And then we'll compare it to the head coach and see how Willem II and the other clubs we've managed here got on in that one. So World Cup 2034 has not taken place yet, but the last 2 won by France and England. So France back on top of the world in that one. And then the European Championships, let's have a look at them. Holders France 3 times in a row. I think it's fair to say France are a pretty good side in this database, aren't they? And I guess those original players they've got now, they're all in their early 20s, aren't they? So a lot of them will still be playing. So that's all done. We've recapped what's happened here. But obviously when we did the original head coach save, we didn't know all of this was going to happen. So what we're going to do as a result is we're going to go back over to that bookmark there where we look 10 years in the future in that save after we left Bayern Munich and finished it off. And we're going to see how the clubs we've managed here in the shape of Willem II, Copenhagen, Dynamo have got on in that one by comparison. We'll be back in a moment to step back in time to an episode we did a few months ago. But we'll be looking at slightly different things here. So here we are back in our alternate universe where, just as a reminder, these are the clubs that we'd managed. So we had a little look to see how Bournemouth and Marseille had been getting on. But now we're going to step back and have a look at what happened to the clubs we ended up managing in the coach's head and see with Willem II, with Sporting Lisbon, Dynamo and Copenhagen, did we overachieve or underachieve compared to the AI? Because by the looks of it, we did a pretty good job in this one. Let's hope that remains the case once we've looked at the other clubs. So we'll start, of course, with the big part of that save, Willem II. How did they get on in this universe when they weren't being managed by us? Wow. There are a few things we need to take a note of here. Firstly, Arinchelo Torbed is there, he's captain, and he's almost as good as he was in that save. So first news is brilliant. They have started the season poorly, they're in 16th place. I got overexcited for a minute because I forgot that we're in August. The season's reset, we're a couple of games in. I thought they were just in a relegation mix. Interesting to note from this actually, PSV 3 years ago won the title when they were in dire straits when it came to the stint we had there at Willem II. Let's have a look. They seem to be bottom of this one as well. Let's see how Willem II have got on in the last 5 years here. Oh, wow. I think we can class that as us doing a good job because we took over, obviously, when they were in a relegation mix. It would have been in that season, wouldn't it? 27-28. They ended up staying up then in the end and for a couple more seasons. But the year PSV won it, unlike the save we had, the coach's head, where we were third and PSV were ninth, we have Willem II relegated in 17th, back up the next year as champions, finished 11th last season. That's despite the fact that Torbed, Samba Kima, did we not have him there at some point? I feel like he's a familiar name, but maybe not. And how many others of them are there? David Turnbull's knocking about, which is interesting. Kamenovic, the man who was sold in our first window when we joined the club. Director of football let him go for massive money. Here he's a legend. He stayed there ever since. But I don't recognise too many others of them. The only other one I think is the youngster John Conte who's come through, who again, not become anywhere near as good as he did under our coaching. So that's pretty surprising. I thought it'd be better than that. Oh, Ace Fado we inherited as well, didn't we? But he again got sold before we left the club. So we definitely did a better job at Willem II than the AI manager. What about the other three clubs? We'll start in order with Copenhagen. Well, generally speaking, a little bit easier for them. They won 4 titles in a row from the start of the save, including the year we won it with them. But the last 2 have gone to Midtjylland. So let's see what's fallen away and how much by. Because if we go back 3 years to when they won it, and we go to the championship group, they won it at a canter with 80 points as well. Again, more than the total we managed there. If we look the year after, they lost it with 57. Again, wild swings in the point difference. I really don't understand that. And then 63 points for Midtjylland last time. And again, only 54 for Copenhagen. Doesn't quite make sense, does it? Let's go and have a look at the team and see if anyone is familiar. Have they got any of the players we have? Oscar Hoyland's still there. He was a superstar for me, wasn't he? And they managed to keep Nicholas Schmidt. This is something I'm finding really interesting doing this. When we put the director of football in charge of transfers, all of the star players end up getting sold. When that AI manager is doing it, it doesn't seem to be happening. Kamenovic at Willem II, Nicholas Schmidt here at Copenhagen. The star players are staying along. There's got to be something behind the game that's causing that. And I want to see if it's the same case at Dinamo Zagreb. Let's move on to our third club from the coach's head. Well, Dinamo Zagreb, bar 1 year, have won a title every time. So a much more dominant streak for them than we saw in the coach's head. We obviously took them back to the crown and they threw away, as we saw when we had a look earlier in the episode. Let's see if we recognise any of the players there. I mean, the first one I recognise isn't from that club. It's Matteo Gabbia, who has moved from Sporting Lisbon to Dinamo. A player that we obviously managed at Sporting Lisbon in the alternate universe. Christoph Clara is still there. Not declined quite as quickly in this save, which is interesting. Any others? I don't think there's many other familiar names, are there? I feel like even Romero might have been there at the start. Not a hugely familiar name. And then a few of the backups. Your Charlie, Dunjic was there. But again, I wouldn't say a great deal of that squad is the same. Obviously, some of the youngsters are going to be different. They wouldn't have come through in this universe, but a lot of the more experienced players moving on. This is probably the first one where we've seen a lot of the stars go, maybe be replaced by a slightly different team. Let's finish off with Sporting Lisbon though. No Pedro Mendes in this save, but have they got the superstars still? Let's find out. Well, the simple answer is in this universe, Sporting Lisbon did not need us. We took over in the summer of 2033 in the coach's head. In this universe, they had already wrestled the crown from Benfica at this point. They managed to get their first title after a number of years, but generally speaking, it's still thirds and fourths. They're not right up there. How many of the players we know have they got, though? A lot more of a turnaround there, but Kirkes is about. Ramon Terras, we managed him somewhere as well, didn't we? Copenhagen. Knew it. There's so many familiar faces. Gabriel Silva's still there. Paulo Otavio's still there. So a little bit more of a settled team. But again, nothing crazy. And Mamadou Fernandez had obviously just come through the youth intake because he actually has become a bit better in this save than he did in that one. But interesting to see the variation. Sporting Lisbon doing better without us. The rest of them, a little bit all over the place. And mainly when we've left clubs, Copenhagen and Dinamo in the coach's head, it's caused problems later down the line. Here they've not had that knock-on effect. But the big one's Willem too. Relegated without us when we had them third in our save. That is a big fluctuation, despite a number of the same young players coming through and starring in the team. So let me know what you think of that. Let me know what you think of the teams that we managed in both saves and which one surprised you the most with how they got on in the opposites. Any surprises from the coach's head look 10 years in the future? And let me know if you want the save database. I'll make it available for you. For now, though, it will be the end of the save and the end of daily content for a little while. Just while we decide what we're going to do, of course, now that FM25 has been delayed for a few more months. I do have a plan to bring forward one of my saves from next year, which wasn't going to be a daily save. It was going to be my sort of supplementary one. I'll make a video discussing that in the next week or so. In the meantime, though, we're going to focus on loads of live streams over on Twitch, a few more different videos here, and of course, a very big finish to the season and the save with Southend United, as well as a few bits to look back on there. So thank you very much for getting involved. If you enjoyed this little look back and comparison, please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. If you want to stay up to date with everything across the channel over the next few months, as well as loads of FM25 stuff to come, then please do subscribe and turn that notification bell on. Thank you so much for the support as always, and for watching, and for checking out my stuff over on Twitch and the football podcast too. For those of you who are regulars here, you'll know we are planning to move house in the next few weeks, so there will be a little bit of disruption, but we'll be back pretty strong soon. Don't you worry about that. Thank you very much for being involved and following along another save. I really enjoyed several parts of this one, and hopefully the next one will be just as good, because we're going to have a bonus FM24 story now.